I was texting Vince about this episode last night. He did mention that he finally got to the end of Better Call Saul, and I just
finished it.
have
I
to
finished
hear
it.
your thoughts.
I finished it, and I'm kind of sad that it's over.
Oh, so melancholy.
But I loved it, man. Like, I feel like and tell me how you rewatched it. There might be spoilers here, so if you guys don't want to be spoiled with Better Call Saul, you should probably skip ahead.
Skip ahead till you see us slapping stuff on this board.
Yeah. I want to know how you did, because you did a rewatch from the
Mhm.
first, from Saul into Breaking Bad. Where did you stick Breaking Bad into it? Because I felt like there's a clear transition when Jimmy McGill becomes Saul. Like, that episode ends, he's in his office, and it's
And
like,
he
let's
has
do
the
this.
seat.
Yeah.
He has the cup,
Mhm.
which says world's best lawyer, which both is, you recognize from Breaking Bad. And it's
Yep.
also super symbolic with the mug that he had from Kim in the show and everything
Yeah.
like that. He's just transitioned past that.
And then it cuts real hard in the next episode to the black and white episodes,
To the
which is
Gene
really
Takovic.
cool. I like how they did that, the future
Mhm.
and the black and white stuff, so you can really like tell where you are in the timeline, kind of a thing.
You can tell, and there's also like so much like symbolism that goes along with it, which you
Yeah.
really get. There's like a decent amount of symbolism, but especially just as towards the end of the last episode, where after everything happens, and Kim comes to visit Jimmy again, just like the smallest little thing, like the lighter, or
lighter
the
has a
things
little
that
color.
just a little color, and you can kind of think about some things going back.
Yeah, which I love those kind of things. But my point is, in that hard cut,
Mhm.
between those two episodes, I kind of wish that I went back and rewatched Breaking Bad before watching those last 3 or 4 episodes.
See, I didn't do anything like that because Better Call Saul is a prequel that gives you also, what is that called? Postquel? Like
Yeah,
just
an
like
epilogue.
sequel,
Like
epilogues.
it has a resolution for so many characters from Breaking
From
Bad.
Breaking
Even
Bad.
if they're not in the episode, it like references them. Like, how's Saul doing? How's this guy doing? And there's a lot of characters there's a couple of characters in there that I was just like, who's that again? Like,
Right.
even this is how long it's been since I watched Breaking Bad. I didn't
Mhm.
even recognize Hank's wife when she
Right.
walked into the courtroom. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of those moments where I was just like, I kind of wish that I took this
They did a
little
different. Mhm.
little section, jumped and rewatched Breaking Bad. They would make a huge one
Right.
episode arc. But do you think that's how he kind of like imagined the flow to be?
I feel like Imagine the Flow. Like there's a lot that still kind of connects, and there's a reason. I feel like rewatching Breaking Bad during that sequence could be like a fun way to do it, but I like the flow of Better Call Saul directly how it goes. It does
Spice
jump
up.
to that future, but it's because so much happened in the middle that we do know, and there's a lot that you can take and look at Saul's character, but I really like the idea where we were so worried. I was so worried the whole time watching Better Call Saul about Kim and Jimmy and what would happen with them and all of these characters. And it jumps to the future. And even though right away it doesn't get into it, so much about that future is showing how Jimmy/Saul/Gene got to where he was, what he ended up doing, and then what he ended up needing to even just talk about and say in that courtroom scene, the big final courtroom scene, to really kind of bring his character to where it ended with the resolution, just with his own morals, what he'd been wanting to do with his life, where his life actually ended up. And so there's so much that was from before, because Breaking Bad happened, and Breaking Bad, while Saul Goodman is still a really good character, he's very, not one-dimensional, but he's very strict on one path,
Yeah.
where so much of Better Call Saul was him moving back and forth
Through like the
through
gray
the
area.
emotions, seeing what he was going to do, seeing what was cool, what wasn't cool, pulling Kim into it and having her also kind of go through that same transition and see what happened. And so I like the flow of it, but I think that would also be a fun rewatch to hit that episode, do
then
all
jump
of
into
Breaking Bad, and then get back in. So once you see, oh no, he's going off and whatnot, and then get back into it.
Yeah.
So,
I think if I did a rewatch, I think that's the way I would do it. But that being said, I absolutely loved the show. The first season's slow.
oh, it is.
But man, does it pick up after that. Like, it just keeps going, it keeps running, and then gets to like a sprinting pace until those last 3 episodes where it slows down again. I was the same way. I was terrified for Kim at the end of the last season. I did not know how it was going to end for her, and she just seemed like such a good person that just was taking, slipping little by little by little. And that last season ended. I was just like, I don't know how it's going to do it. How are they going to do it? And then this new season was so effective on showing how far Jimmy was willing to go as Saul that my worry for her did not end until literally that courtroom scene that you're talking about. Like, you keep seeing Saul do worse and worse things to the point where or I guess he's Gene, he's like threatening a little old lady and like doing all this really messed up stuff just to, what does he say? To stay ahead. Like I always do. I'm just going to stay ahead. And even up until that last courtroom scene, I'm just like, Saul is going to throw her down the river. Like, that is how deep he's gone, that he is so lost that he is even going to sacrifice the one person other than his brother that he seemed to really care about. And I couldn't believe how effective that was for me through the whole thing. I'm so used to some of these movies where I'm just like,
you know where it's going.
Yeah, the resolution's like really obvious from the get-go, or some of these like movies that, you know, like these Marvel movies that you know is going to have a big moment and then everything in the end is going to kind of fix itself and they're going to go back to a status quo, and then the next big thing's going to happen, they're going to go back to a status quo, so there's no like big risk for a show or a movie or whatever. This whole season, I'm just like, I don't know how this is going to end for these characters, for any of them. And I felt so satisfied at the end. By the end of it, I kind of hated Jimmy. Like you said, in the show, you run back and forth and you learn to love him. You see him in the gray area and doing all these things and like that are bad, but he's got his reasons behind it. He's always trying to do good, but always slips back into it. I wanted him to get caught by the end of it. I was just like, I don't think he should get away with this. Even this crappy life that he's living, I still think he should pay for what he's doing.
And he almost wanted to get caught, pretty sure.
Right? It kind of
seemed like it. Especially with what happens in those final few episodes when they're running the scam and how he does it so sloppily. It seems that he's also kind of going down that path, which seems almost satisfying, but then you're like, well, that's kind of weird, because you really are waiting until that final courtroom scene to see how he will react and if he will throw Kim down the stairs under the bus or whatever.
And I do think that if Kim hadn't have come clean, if Kim hadn't have done the right thing, that he would have continued to run with this whole thing, continued to con people, continued to pretend and to hide and to do all this bad stuff, you know? But she was that, you know, voice of reason, that conscience. So I loved it. I'm, like I said, I'm sad it's over.
There's so much more. I won't keep on it too long because we obviously have a lot more to do here. But if you had a favorite scene from the finale, or you can even make it the final season.
I did enjoy the final scenes between him and Kim, where she comes in as his lawyer and they just have that moment together, that smoke together.
It's just so beautiful. So I think I would say that the courtroom scene and his monologue and everything he talks about with Chuck and everything would be my favorite. But that final scene as well is just where they have that moment. And so much of, because there's so much symbolism in his name, right? Because Jimmy, Saul, Gene, all of these things, he's always been changing. But who is he really? And there, at the very end, when he walks in and he sees Kim, and even after everything and all they've been through, and even though they didn't talk when she was there at the courtroom, and so it's been a while since she's seen him, she just walks in and she says, "Hi, Jimmy."
Oh, and there's also just moments with Kim that you just never have seen Kim this way. Like, she's always through the series been such a strong and just seemed like held together person. And to see her and the effects that this whole experience has had on her, and how she just like refuses to have an opinion on anything anymore. Like, she's like almost running away from being a lawyer, to the point that even in her daily life, she's just like, maybe,
yeah.
Like, I'm not going to give you a solid answer. I'm not going to give you an opinion because I don't do that anymore. And then, like, to the point where she just literally breaks down sobbing on the bus.
Oh, what a scene.
Like,
she's
that
still
got me
up
hard.
for, because it was unavailable because of the split last year, for a lot of them to be considered for Emmys. But this upcoming year, they're still the ones that are going to be coming out. They're still available to be
I
nominated.
Hope she gets recognized, because
Ray Seahorn's done such amazing work in this.
Man, it hit me hard, like, to the point where I was just like, I've never seen Kim that way. Like, even when she's like talking to the wife of Howard, she's still just that she's classic Kim, just lawyer Kim held together, accepting the consequences, very like stern. And then she just
And
breaks down in
Waterworks.
that moment, you know, like she's my favorite character in the show. She's easily my favorite character.
So amazing. Ray Seahorn, just both of them. I always, what is it? Because there's the big thing online these days that's like, oh, he's him or she's her or whatnot. I post this one shot that's just one of the classic beautiful Breaking Bad shots. It's when they had that one office together when they first got the lady to come work for them, and it's just very much silhouette with like the glass in the background of them holding hands. And I tweeted it, and I'm like, Jim, it was like Himmy McGill and Kim Hurley Wexer. Like,
I love it.
All right, we got to stop because we could talk about Better Call Saul. I could talk about Better Call Saul
me
forever.
too.
I'm super happy that you finished it.
Me
and
too.
that
It
you
was
enjoyed
fun.
it.